Hello students and welcome to Math Note Taking with Mr. Q. So, in any math setting, whether you're doing homework or taking notes during class or even taking a test or a quiz or a standardized exam, first thing that you will definitely want is some sort of space to work, some sort of desk or flat surface where you can write. Second thing, in order to be able to write, you need something to write on, some sort of paper. Remember, writing by hand actually helps you remember more of what happens in class and more of what you were practicing in the homework. That way, it doesn't feel as crammed once you get to a test or a quiz. Third thing, you need a pencil. Pencil or erasable pen is usually going to be the best for math work. We all make mistakes. We all sometimes transpose a 7 into a 1 or a 4 into a 3 somehow. I miscopy things all of the time. But I'm going to use a pen for these videos because they show up a little bit better on the camera. We'll also need a calculator. Remember, your graphing calculator is a very robust computer. It is the most powerful computer that you will be allowed to use in most of your exams and SATs and ACTs and things like that. And once you get used to it, it actually ends up being a lot faster and a lot more reliable than your phone. You might also want some sort of straight edge in math. I might use a ruler sometimes. Other times I might just use anything with a straight edge. I did a lot of construction and I happen to have a very straight little piece of wood here. So that's going to be my straight edge if I need it. Next, you need your focus items, possibly. If you need a squish ball or something like that to move your hand, or if you need some gum to keep yourself focused and maybe give yourself a little bit of that sugar, because remember, thinking burns calories. You need the calories to burn in order to do that. That might be useful. And then lastly, whatever handouts you might use in the classroom, something like a statistics handout. You might also need your textbook, like the textbook that we use in finite math. So, with all those, we should be ready to start looking at some sort of math, some sort of note-taking. So first thing is, remember your items. Second thing is, you need to start writing your vocabulary. Any unfamiliar items, unfamiliar words, just give yourself a brief explanation what this means to me. You can always adjust. They'll usually give you a few different vocabulary items. I will oftentimes start the day with the new vocabulary on the board. Again, if we look at some of the notes from this statistics thing here, some of the vocabulary might be familiar. The mean or the arithmetic average, that might be familiar enough that, oh yeah, we've been doing mean for a long time. I don't necessarily need to write down the whole definition, but I would like to write down the mean, the median, and the mode go together. I might need a definition for the median and the mode for myself, because those are sometimes not looked at as much or not as remembered, because we talk about averages or means a lot in our everyday culture. And then finally, after any vocabulary, write down any formulas. Big formulas will also oftentimes be written on the board. You might see something like y equals mx plus b. That means that we will probably use that formula as a focus in a lot of our problems today. You might also see other various ways of expressing things like volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. And you can always define your variables if you need to. Remember, pi is pi. That's about 3.14159, yada, yada, yada. Again, pi, you can use your calculator for to get more exact answers. There is a pi button, which is, if you hit the second button and then the caret up here, then you can use pi in your calculator. You can find things like 2 pi very quickly, and those might be helpful. And you might want to remind yourself, oh, r is a radius. But that's generally how you want to start your math note taking. And then once the instructor gives examples, mostly just follow the work for the examples. You don't necessarily need to take any notes on, you don't need to write down any of the descriptions that you can look up in the teacher notes. So Toby Titus is trying to sell some of his old comic books. I don't necessarily need to write down all of that information. I might just give myself a little bit of shorthand or extra notes for what the numbers and what they are attached to are. But anyway, that's note-taking. We're going to start up with our first examples and first lessons in the next video.